This camera, it's obvious that it's Fuji's flagship hybrid, like video focused camera, especially after they released the X-H2, which is more kind of photo focused. The X-H2s is a lot better for video. And then they just released the X-T5, which they're marketing more towards photographers. So the X-H2s, if you're serious about video and you want to get into the Fuji line of cameras, I can't recommend this camera enough, and you definitely will not be disappointed. I shot it all in ProRes HQ, 4K 3840 by 2160, f-log 2 on the X-H2s. I'm using a Fringer EF to FX adapter with a Sigma 18 to 35 1.8 art lens, and I'm using a PM VND 2 to 5 stop on the front of the lens. My goal for this test footage was to test my f-log 2 conversion LUTs that I made, and I'll link those down below if you want to check them out. I have both a regular pack and a creative pack. They work with both f-log and f-log 2. I wanted to go out and test the footage on some like moody scenes with darker shadows, more contrast, and just see how they look. And so I color graded this one using my f-log 2 filmic conversion LUT. And then I did some basic adjustments before the LUT. Here's the node tree if you want to check it out. So in the first node, I do my primary adjustments. So I'm adjusting offset, white balance, stuff like that, contrast, saturation, and then it feeds it through the LUT. And then I have a OFX node where I'm applying Film Convert Pro, which I use for grain sometimes. I like this plugin for grain because it's fast. I also wanted to test the IBIS in the camera. I don't think it's on par with like Panasonic or Sony because it still does kind of like a jitter thing. And if you noticed it when you watched back the footage, that's definitely a weird issue. There's not as much like wobble on the edges of the frame. There still is a little bit, which is kind of disappointing. So none of this footage is stabilized in post. It's all shot using IBIS in camera. I shot this all at 5600K white balance in camera. And as far as exposure goes, I'm usually keeping the exposure around 0. Making sure to save the highlights in camera. I was shooting maybe at -0.3 or below a little bit, almost -1 sometimes. And I was still even bringing it down in DaVinci to get it where I wanted. I love the look of the Sigma 18 to 35. I think it's just so sharp. I'm actually shooting this footage right now with the X-H2s, and I have the LUT applied, the Filmic Creative LUT applied, so that's in the LUT pack as well. I love shooting on the CF Express card. It just feels more like solid to me. I still plan on getting a rig for it. Like I want to get a cage and then be able to use my top handle with it, because I feel like that'll give it a lot more weight, and I may not even have to shoot with IBIS anymore. I have a bunch of V-mount batteries that I use for my Red, and so I would love to get a rail system and then put the V-mount batteries on the back with a USB to the USB-C on the side so that I can power it with a V-mount, which I feel like that would last like forever. I have a 43-inch LG C1 OLED that I grade everything off of. When I have the image on there from the Fuji, it just looks incredible. It's so sharp, it's so clean, and it's a lot of fun to grade, especially when you're using F-Log2 or F-Log. I'm currently working on a little test between the Fuji and the Red Epic Dragon. It's super interesting. Red just has some crazy color science stuff that happens. Definitely subscribe if you're interested in that stuff. I hope you liked the footage, and I will see you in the next one.